Hi, welcome to the Itihasa channel. The last time we spoke about how the Pandavas had started to bring the great Hastinapur empire to its old glory. The glory of the time of Bhishma to the glory of the time of Pandu, the glory of time of Shantanu. And now it was the time for the Pandavas. But things always don't go smoothly, especially when the Kaurava Duryodhana is around. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Nagendraya Namaha. Om Amme Narayana, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Ganeshaya Namaha, Om Anjanaya Namaha, Om Subramanyaya Namaha, Swami Sharanamayyappo, Om Guruve Namaha. And so, as Hastinapur progressed, the people were happy and there was good cheer all around. People would be heard talking on the streets about how great Yudhishthira was, of how great Bhimasena was, of how great Arjuna was, of how handsome the great Nakula was, and how great Sahadeva was in his knowledge and of the occult. And they would talk about how the evil Kauravas were put in their place by the great Pandavas in the great Panchala war, and how the evil Kauravas, who used to at one point of time wreak havoc in the streets of Hastinapur before they went for their training, of how these evil Kauravas were not fit to be kings, and their father Dhritarashtra was also not fit to be king, and Pandu was the greatest king of the Hastinapur empire in the olden days, and truly their children, the Pandavas, were the true heirs of the throne. And how Dhritarashtra was only a king in name, but he was blind and he was useless, and he couldn't manage anything, and he had to use Bhishma and Vidura for help at all times. And so the word started to spread all over Hastinapur. In the meantime, we had discussed how Yudhishthira had given a powerful post to Duryodhana. He had made Duryodhana in charge of the treasury, he had made Duryodhana in charge of the land records, and he had given important posts in the government to Duryodhana. And Duryodhana used it to the fullest. He ensured that he had his spies all over the city. He used the money in the treasury, which was brought by Arjuna and Bhimasena in their campaigns all around Bharatvarsha, to bribe people all over the kingdom. He had people bribed within the army, within all the other forces, within the police force, among the border guards, among the security guards, in the land department, in the revenue department, in the treasury, in the arsenal. And using this money from the treasury, Duryodhana ensured that he had his people who were loyal to him, who were absolutely crooked and dishonest and lacked integrity, but he found the right people, the type of people that were amenable to bribes, and ensured that they would be there in every arm of the legislature, in every arm of the executive, in every arm of the judiciary of the time. And so Duryodhana ensured that he had his network of spies who were loyal to him. And now these spies would come and tell him that things were not okay. For if the great Duryodhana was to finally become king one day, the time is fast slipping away from his hands. And some of these spies would go to Dhritarashtra too and tell him that the people in the town are talking about how great the Pandava brothers were, of what a great king Yudhishthira would make at one point of time once Dhritarashtra would step aside. And it hurt Dhritarashtra to hear this talk being given in the public square. For Dhritarashtra, though he loved his brother Pandu, and he was forced to make Pandu's son king or Yuvaraja, he couldn't bear to have to hear about how evil his sons were and how great his brother's sons were and how bad a king he was. And so one day, in terrible distress, he called his minister Kanika. Now, Kanika was a wily man, a man with a lot of guile, basically absolutely crooked. But he was loyal to Dhritarashtra and Dhritarashtra's sons, especially Duryodhana. And so one evening, this wily minister Kanika came to the palace of Dhritarashtra. And Dhritarashtra welcomed him warmly and asked him, have the guards all been sent away? And Kanika realized this is a very personal discussion they are going to have. And even the personal guards of Dhritarashtra would be around, the personal bodyguards was to be sent away. And so he motioned all the guards to leave and closed the doors and ensured that there was nobody around. And then he sat next to his great king Dhritarashtra and started to talk to him. And Dhritarashtra held Kanika's hand and looked at him towards him and said, I hear every day that the Pandavas are becoming more and more famous, that the Pandavas are getting a good name. And on the other hand, my own son Duryodhana is getting a bad name in the city. People at the town squares are talking well of the Pandava brothers and evil of my son. And it stings my heart like a serpent bite that I have to hear all this. And I don't know what to do, Kanika, but please tell me, what should the course of my action be? And then Kanika started to explain to King Dhritarashtra how statecraft should work, for Dhritarashtra. And it was this day that the great minister Kanika showed this true self. The evil lurking deep in his heart came to the fore in the many shlokas that followed through in the great Mahabharata epic. The epic goes into great detail about how Kanika went into absolute intricate detail on how to conquer and how to subdue every antagonist that would rise in front of Dhritarashtra. And the Mahabharata explains in detail every word that Kanika spoke. Kanika, through this time when he would address his king, would call him the sinless one. For compared to Kanika, Dhritarashtra was absolutely sinless. He would call Dhritarashtra Kurushottama as the greatest Kuru ever to have lived. O Bharata, the great Bharata on whose name the entire country lies today. And then Kanika began. Kanika started to tell Dhritarashtra that a king must always look at increasing his power. He has to be steadfast in that one purpose of increasing his power. His mace should be held high to quell every form of dissent, to quell everyone who needs to be crushed and crushed with impunity. He told the great king Dhritarashtra that the king should be absolutely discreet. He should not let out anything that is in his heart, but should be quite aware and look around intently for indiscretions by people around him, for that will tell who his foes are, who his enemies are, and who the people against him are. And at all times the king should be ready to crush the people who are against him, to crush the people who are his foes. And let it be a lesson to all around, to people around him, that this king will allow nothing to come in the way of his greatness. And anyone who challenges the greatness of this king will be crushed absolutely. He then told Dhritarashtra that at all times you should hide your weaknesses. Your soft spots, your weaknesses, and the chinks in your armor should be hidden. While the weakness of your enemies, the chinks in their armor should be highlighted and should be understood immensely. Like a tortoise who hides its soft body within its shell and protects itself, so should the king cover himself in his armor of discretion, in his armor that will hide all his weak spots. And then Kanika said that when you identify your enemy, go after him. Do not stop until he is completely killed. Like a thorn that enters the flesh, and like a thorn that will cause a festering wound, that festering wound will not heal until the last bit of thorn is removed. So, O great king, go against your enemy, and after you've killed your enemy, burn down their house, kill their family members, kill their children, kill their allies, kill their friends, kill everyone that is even remotely associated with them, for that thorn should never come back. And O great king, you may have enemies within your kingdom who seem very trivial, who seem very small, who are incontemptible, but do not take them lightly. For it's a small spark that can start a fire, and then that fire can leap from tree to tree, causing the entire forest to burn down. And so beware of that enemy who may be small. And if you are weak at that point of time, do not show your weakness to them. Hide your weakness, pretend to be nice to them, pretend to be sweet to them. Turn a deaf ear, turn a blind eye to all their follies and all their faults. For they may be empowered to talk bad about you, but turn a blind eye and always smile at them. And when the chance comes, O king, smite them down and kill them with no mercy. They may beg for mercy, but keep your heart as hard as stone and fight against them and completely kill them. And then, after you've killed them, cry copious tears of repentance, for the people should know that you're a sweet man who never wanted to kill these people, but you were driven to killing them, for they have rebelled against you. Cry copiously and praise them even in their death. Let the people know that you had no choice but to kill them. And then go after the resources of your enemy. Go after the resources, go after the money that your enemy may have. Completely kill all ways that they can make money. Go after their friends who are their resources. Go after their allies who are their resources. Go after their relatives who are their resources. All these resources also should be killed. Use a combination of dissension, use a combination of conciliation to kill this enemy of yours. Carry your enemy on your back like he is your friend. Carry him on your back like you're supporting him through everything, and at a point in time when you have the power, throw him down against the stone like how you would hurl an earthen pot against a stone and crush it and shatter it. Go after your enemies' friends with gifts. Go after them with rumors. Spread rumors against your enemy among his friends and create dissension among them, so that they begin to question the integrity of your enemy. And then when the time is right, smite down that enemy and kill him and kill those friends too, for it might probably happen that those friends might again come up against you. And Dhritarashtra was amazed at this knowledge that was being given to him. And he asked him, tell me more in detail, O Kanika, how I can create dissension, how I should have conciliation with my enemies, and how I should quell them finally. And then the great Kanika told Dhritarashtra, let me tell you a story, O king. This is a story of a wise jackal who had friends, who had 4 friends, a mouse, a mongoose, a wolf, and a tiger. And one day they quietly observed from the bushes a large, powerful stag which was sitting and looking around intently. And the jackal told the tiger that your many attempts to conquer that, to capture that stag have failed, and to kill that stag have failed. For he is smarter than you and more intelligent than you and younger than you. And it's not going to be possible for us to directly kill him. But we should have a plan. Let us send the mouse, the great mouse. The mouse will gnaw on the hooves of that stag while he is asleep and while he is resting. And that will not allow the stag to run. And so they sent the mouse, who covertly went to the stag while he was sleeping and gnawed on its hooves. And then when the tiger came out, the stag couldn't run away, and the tiger immediately captured the stag and killed it. And as they were about to feast on the stag, the wise jackal said, wait, let us first all go for a bath. Let us purify ourselves before we come and have the stag. I shall stand here guard and see to it that no other predator comes and takes the stag away. And so saying, the 4 of them went to the river to bathe, different parts of the river to bathe. And subsequently they all came back one by one. First came the tiger, and he noticed that the jackal was very pensively looking into the distance and had a very sad look about him. And the tiger asked the wise jackal, why do you have this sadness in you? We are about to feast on a great stag. And it's a huge stag, so why do you have this sadness about you? And the wise jackal looked at him and said, the mouse had come just some time ago and told that this great tiger thinks that he is the greatest uh, king of the jungle. He is able to eat today because I have eaten the hooves of that stag. And today he is able to feast on the stag because of me. Oh, fie on him who thinks he is so great. He is nothing without me. And I feel sad, oh great tiger, that you have to subsist on what the common mouse has given you. And the tiger's pride came to the fore and he decided, I cannot eat something that the mouse has helped me kill. No, wise jackal, what you say is true. A great hunter like me should be able to hunt on my own and eat on my own. Why should I depend on the help of a common mouse, a common rat, to eat? And so saying, the great tiger walked away to hunt on his own, and never again would the tiger depend on other animals to hunt for him. And by came the rat or the mouse. And then the cunning wolf looked at the mouse and said, well, the mongoose was just here some time back, and he said that he is going to come and eat you because the great tiger has poisoned this great stag with his claws. And if he would eat this stag, he would die from the poisoning. And so it would be better if he just ate you and filled his stomach with it. And the mouse was aghast. He was scared and he ran away into a burrow, never to come out again in the daytime. For then on, the mouse would always hunt at night when the other animals wouldn't be around. And soon came the wolf back from his bath. And the wise jackal looked at the wolf and said, I pity you, wolf, for the great tiger has decided that he is going to kill you and eat you today along with the stag. And he's gone to get his mate so they can both pounce on you and kill you and have you for their lunch along with the stag. And this brought absolute fear in the face of the wolf, who then ran away, said, tell not the tiger where I go, in which direction I go, for I shall disappear before he comes back with his mate and kills me. And with the smirk on his face, he looked at the mongoose and said, oh, you've come, is it? I have just fought away the wolf and the rat and the tiger, and now it's your time to face my wrath. And the mongoose looked at the jackal and said, if you have fought the great tiger and the great wolf, then what do I stand a chance? How do I stand a chance in front of you? Let me be, O great jackal, let me be, let me run away. And so saying, the mongoose ran away, leaving the wise jackal on his own to sever the great stag and to fill his stomach. And so, O great king, learn from the great jackal, when you have enemies who are more powerful than you, who are stronger than you, use your guile and your smartness and give them gifts and take them into a sense of complacency. And when they're complacent, then you should attack. When you have people who are more timid than you, bring in fear through guile and lies and ensure that you can kill them and finish them off. And people who are your equal should be tempted with gifts, and with these gifts you can then lure them into complacency and finish them off too. And O great king, like the wise jackal, endear yourself to your enemies. Make your enemies your best friends, keep them close. Understand every aspect of them. Start discreetly spreading lies about your enemies among their friends. Ensure that their friends start to doubt your enemies. Bribe your enemies' friends with wondrous gifts. Ensure that they are on your side. And see to it that all of them would then finally one day be on your side and pounce against your enemy and then decimate him. And then, O great king, one by one, isolate these allies and friends and relatives of these enemies of yours and finish them off too. And then, O great king, have your spies in all the great parts of the kingdom. There are 18 areas where your spies should dwell. 18 areas where your spies should be in the offices of the 18 areas. What are these 18 areas? The most important is the office of your prime minister, the main minister that you have. Ensure that your spies are in the closest entourage of this minister. Also, the chief priest of your kingdom and the various priests that head the various religious places at various temples around your kingdom. Ensure that your spies are in your commander's post. Ensure that your spies are sitting with the commanders as they plan the next battle plan. Ensure that your spies are with the police force who guard the internal kingdom. Ensure that your spies are with the border guards to ensure that all your borders are being guarded properly and any transgression by your border guards are reported to you immediately. Ensure that your spies are in the prisons to ensure that everything that happens in the prisons, both with the person in charge of warden of the prisons and among the prisoners, is reported to you. Also ensure that the correctional facilities, mind you, the correctional facilities were different from the prisons in those days. Ensure that your spies are in the offices of the head of the correctional facilities so that you know what corrective measures are being taken for the thieves of the land and for the criminals of the land. Ensure that your spies are in the revenue department, in the survey department, and in the treasuries. Ensure they're in the arsenals where your weapons are kept. Ensure that they are surrounded in every public drinking space, in the drinking halls, the bars, as you may, in the places of worship, in the places where large gatherings are there and for any function. Ensure that wedding halls where people gather around in large numbers will have your spies, so that at every place news will come to you and will be reported to you immediately. And once you have these spies, O king, ensure that every enemy is accounted for. Ensure that your warriors will quell every form of dissent that may crop up in these places that I have mentioned to you. You should be like the fruit at the top of a tree, a fruit that is ripe but is not seen to be ripe by anyone. For it shall be a distant tree and a distant fruit which shall be out of the reach of the common man. Do not allow thieves, beggars, and atheists to come into your kingdom, for they will spread discontent. For a man who cannot believe in God, will not believe in the king, will not believe in rules, will not believe in any structure. Distrust such men. And, O great king, ensure that when you have caught your enemy, ensure that everyone around him is slaughtered. And then, looking around again to see if anyone is in, softly he told his king, even if your guru, even if your teacher is not someone you can trust, do not think twice. Even if he's a Brahmana, kill him instantly. And, O great king, I know what hurt you the most. Your brother's children. You are torn between the love for your brother and his children. But remember, those boys, those men, those Pandavas will be the one who will attack you, who will bring you down, who will bring your son down, who will be the end of your son. Spare no effort in ensuring their end, and do not feel bad for your brother, for these are the young men who will be the end of your sons, will be the end of the Kuru kingdom, will be the end of your line. Finish them off at the first chance you get. Listening to these words of that wily minister Kanika, you begin to understand the evil that originated among the Kauravas. For at every point in time when Duryodhana would come up with his plan, with his evil plans, there was the stamp of Kanika on every one of them. Now we've seen a lot of stories of the Mahabharata recounted on television and various other places. And at every one of these places, it's the son of Shubala, Shakuni, who is portrayed as the most evil mastermind who has decided to bring ruin to the house of the Kuru dynasty. And we had discussed a story too in the past which gave mitigating factors to why Shakuni would do such a thing. But to be quite fair, in the Mahabharata, Shakuni was never the mastermind. The mastermind was always Duryodhana. Every evil plan originated not from Shakuni, it originated from Duryodhana. And the stamp of Kanika was present in every single of these plans. Shakuni was unlucky that he was stamped as an evil man. He was stamped as the man who would bring ruin to the Kuru Empire. He was stamped as the man who had a grudge against the Kuru Empire and he would bring ruin to this great empire. But in actuality, Shakuni was just the enforcer. Shakuni and Karna were the two people who stood by Duryodhana through all his evil plans. That was their evilness. They never originated these plans, but the only crime Shakuni and Karna could be accused of was to watch Duryodhana's back. Duryodhana would come out with hundreds of evil plans. And it was for every 10 evil plans that Duryodhana would come about that Karna and Shakuni would have to carefully decipher through these plans and then veto at least 8 of these 10 plans. And only 2 would eventually see the light of day. And if finally, even these 2 would be thwarted by the spies of Bhishma and Vidura who would alert the Pandavas about these evil plans. So Shakuni was never the mastermind, neither was Karna. Karna would spend his days in his kingdom Anga, conquering various kingdoms around Anga, and would once in a while come back to Hastinapur to his close friend Duryodhana. And it was during these visits to Hastinapur that most of these evil plans, the ones that actually ended in fruition, would be hatched. So Karna was there during the main plans that were actually which ended in fruition and which changed the course of the Hastinapur kingdom. But most of the plans that were originated by Duryodhana were stopped by Shakuni for being not feasible and for being a plan that would eventually get Duryodhana himself into trouble. So Shakuni's sole purpose in that palace was to ensure that Duryodhana didn't get into trouble. And shortly after Kanika gave this absolutely awesome dose to Dhritarashtra, there landed in Dhritarashtra's chamber Duryodhana, almost as if on cue. Kanika came back from Dhritarashtra's palace and reported to Duryodhana that he had given good advice to Dhritarashtra and Dhritarashtra would do well to follow it. And it would do well for you to follow up immediately with your father and bring your next plan to fruition. And so Duryodhana landed up with his father soon after Kanika had left. Again, Duryodhana ensured that all the guards had left and then held his father's hand and sobbed. Sobbed tears that would melt his father's heart, sobbed tears that would crush his father's soul. And his father Dhritarashtra turned towards Duryodhana and held his hand tight and said, "Why do you cry, my son? What gives you this sorrow in your heart?" And then Duryodhana looked at his father and said, "The Pandavas day by day attain great name and fame within this country. And I fear that at one point of time we'll be relegated to being their assistants and servants. We will have to depend on Yudhishthira for our daily meal and for subsistence. We will be the servitors in this palace. For if we do not take action immediately, O father, we will have no future. Your sons will be nothing but ordinary slaves to the great Pandavas." And this hurt was like a thorn in Dhritarashtra's heart. He said, "I can't let that happen to you, my son. What do you have in your mind?" And Duryodhana turned to his father and held his hand tight and said, "That I feel we should kill the Pandavas." And Dhritarashtra gasped. For even though he had been trained by Kanika, he couldn't get himself to actually having the Pandavas killed. And he said, no, the elders won't allow it. Bhishma won't allow it. Drona won't allow it. For his favorite Shishyas, Arjuna and Drona will not allow us to kill Arjuna. It's not that he was averse to having them killed. The repercussions of having them killed were more worrying to Dhritarashtra. And then Duryodhana started to talk about the roles that the various people in the Hastinapur palace play. And herein comes to the fore the intricate details that Duryodhana would tell that day, which made Dhritarashtra understand that his son had come a long way from the innocent boy who tried to kill the Pandava Bhimasena at Pramanakoti. Duryodhana had progressed a lot from there. His astute mind had begun to understand the inner workings of the palace finally. He told his father Dhritarashtra that Bhishma is an old man, and Bhishma is somebody who will not change the course of things too much. And he recounted a story when he was a young boy, when he had followed his Pitama Bhishma, when Bhishma had gone to the banks of the Ganga. And Duryodhana noticed that Bhishma was walking along the banks of the Ganga and talking in a strange tongue which he couldn't understand. It was a strange language which seemed to be from an ancient time. And there were tears in his eyes, and as he was walking up and down the banks of the Ganga, he was crying profusely. And shocked Duryodhana at that point of time went to his grandfather Bhishma, and Bhishma was taken aback on seeing Duryodhana there. And he hugged Duryodhana and sat down next to him and asked him how he came about to be here. And Duryodhana told him that he had followed his Pitama Bhishma when he went on his chariot to the banks of the Ganga. And then he put his hand on his Pitama's face and asked, why are you crying? And Bhishma told him, I'm tired, my son, I'm tired. And I just want to rest. Bhishma had been crying to Ganga about the happenings in the palace and how he was helpless in managing it. But he was not going to tell Duryodhana these things, and so he just turned to Duryodhana and told him, I'm tired, I just want to rest. And Duryodhana told his father Dhritarashtra that Bhishma is a tired old man, he is not going to do anything. And besides, you are the king still, though Yudhishthira is running the kingdom, you are still the king in name. And Bhishma is the regent who will never talk back or never stand up to the king of Hastinapur, for that's an oath he has given his mother, and that is an oath he will not break. And you can do anything you want, and we can do anything we want, and Bhishma will not open his mouth. Dronacharya subsists on the great heart of Hastinapur. Dronacharya subsists on what Hastinapur is giving him. And he is not going to even let his love for his Shishya come against this. And Dronacharya will not stand up against us. For today, what he has is due to the benevolence of our kingdom. Duryodhana had not seen the new side of Dronacharya, but yes, he was right in a lot of ways. And Vidura, your brother, is the only one who we have to be worried about. For he is a man who cannot be controlled, and he has a soft corner for Kunti and the Pandavas. And we have to ensure that whatever decision we take should absolutely not reach the ears of Vidura, who has spies all over the kingdom. But I have identified most of Vidura's spies by now, and I know who they are. And we should ensure that that information should not reach Vidura. For if it reaches Vidura, it will definitely reach Kunti and the Pandavas, and it will make them alert and make them fight back against us. And as long as we ensure that whatever we do is in absolute silence and with a smile on our face, we can ensure that we will lull that ordinary simpleton Yudhishthira into believing that we are on his side. And the great Vishnu Balrama is anyway on my side, for I've ensured that I'm his favorite Shishya and he will not do anything against me. And so, my dear father, it is time for us to finish off the Pandavas. But Dhritarashtra was still scared about killing the Pandavas and said, "No, I do not want the Pandavas killed. For if they are killed, there will be a revolt in the masses, and the masses will revolt against all of us, and that cannot happen." And so Duryodhana said, "Then let us not kill the Pandavas. Let us send them away for some time. Let us send them away for a year. Let us send them away to Kashi. That's a beautiful city. That's Shiva's city. And today Kashi doesn't have a king. For after the father of Ambika and Ambalika, there's no king for Kashi, and Kashi today is Shiva's city. It has no king. Its only ruler is Shiva. So let us send Yudhishthira and the Pandavas to Shiva's great city Kashi. Let them be there for a year. Let them pray to the great Shiva and attain his blessings. In the meantime, I will run the kingdom for a year. I already have placed important people at important points in the kingdom. The treasury, the army, and various parts of the kingdom have my trusted people there. Obviously, it's information and teachings that he's received from Kanika. And, O great father, I shall ensure that in that 1 year when the Pandavas are away, the people will now come to our side. Not only the people in power and the people at the various important points in the kingdom, but also the common folk. We shall ensure that they shall all come to our side. The coffers are full, and we shall distribute wealth, unlimited and untold wealth, to the common citizenry. And we shall bribe them and ensure that everybody speaks the name of Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana. And by the time the Pandavas come back in a year, the entire kingdom will be with us, will stand next to us, and the Pandavas will have absolutely no way of coming back in. And this was okay for Dhritarashtra, for it meant that through the bribery that Kanika had spoken about, Duryodhana will eventually be popular among the citizenry, will eventually be popular among the various legislative and executive posts in the city and in the country, and will ensure that by legitimate means, the Pandavas, without having to kill them, will be slowly sidelined and sent away. And so started the process of the next phase and the next evil plan of Duryodhana. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Nagendraya Namaha, Om Amme Narayana, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Ganeshaya Namaha, Om Anjanaya Namaha, Om Kartikaya Namaha, Swami Sharanamayapo, Om Gurve Namaha.